Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Friday. Today, our guest is Rudye McGlothlin, Vice President and General Manager for the Power Business Unit at Skyworks. Hi, Rudye. Welcome aboard. How is it going?
It's going well. Hi, Maurizio. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thanks a lot. So, where are you located, Rudye?
I'm in Austin, Texas,
Texas.
and part of Skyworks, as you mentioned, the VP and GM of our power business unit here at Skyworks.
Good. So, let's start. So, I have prepared a couple of topics, questions to share with you. And so, let's talk more about you. So, you have a great career journey in semiconductor industry. Now, so you joined Skyworks in 2021. So please correct me. As a part of the infrastructure and automotive business acquired from Silicon Labs, I guess.
That's correct.
So, what initially drew you to this field? How has your perspective evolved over the years? So, tell us more about.
Yeah, I've had a really great career with a lot of twists and turns, but things that I am really appreciative of, and I feel like I've learned a lot along the way. I initially joined with a company uh, in um, in Dallas, Texas. It's probably one that everybody is familiar with. And I was in actually a material science lab working on sort of a pure science aspect of semiconductor processing. And in that role, I got more familiar with semiconductors in general. Before that, I hadn't had too much exposure. I knew a little bit about circuitry, but just basics. And I started learning about semiconductors and the things that were being done with them. And I think for a lot of people at that stage, it's almost like magic. It's hard to believe everything that's happening with these little black boxes. And that's definitely how I felt about it at the time. And so I pretty quickly moved into a product role so I could be more close to that development. And I had the fortunate situation of learning about some really high value analog semiconductors
Mhm.
that were doing pretty amazing things. And then, I grew from there and started being more interested in things like how products were being defined and what markets were being were driving product definition and driving really progress in semiconductor development. And so, of course, my career progressed along with that interest, and I became more interested in, leadership topics and leading teams that were developing products and getting them ready to launch. And so that advised a lot of how my career progression went. In 2011 is when I joined Silicon Labs here in Austin. And then just as you said, in 2021, I was part of the acquisition that brought me to Skyworks. And between Silicon Labs and Skyworks, I've been involved in a lot of leadership positions from product management and then now into the VP role.
So, semiconductor is physics. So you hold a bachelor degree in physics. So what excites you most about physics? So what part
Mhm.
of physics you like? Is there a scientist you that so who has inspired you as a mentor?
Yeah. So yeah, I when I went to school, it's University of Texas, also here in Austin, and I went to study physics. And originally, I was very interested in astronomy, and
Hmm.
so that had kind of guided me into a science program at UT. But then, as I sort of developed more, information and knowledge about other fields of science. I got attracted to physics just because of the broad scope of physics. It seemed to really answer a lot of and address a lot of questions and interests that I had that were science related. And so I think it's probably a common story that people really get into physics because it just feels like an umbrella in the science world. I think my perspective's changed on that a little bit in that now I think about physics as really just a pure study of energy in all of its forms. And of course, I think in my role in a power electronics, power semiconductor field, the study of energy is very interesting and attractive and kind of guides a lot of what we do and think about.
Hmm.
I
So you,
worked in several research labs at UT, and so I worked with people that were very welcoming and motivational and mentoring. So I had that fortunate case as well. I also got a lot of exposure to, as part of being someone that assisted in labs.
mm,
I got a lot of exposure to like machinists and instrument makers and people that really did like a lot of precision and accurate work with their hands and with machinery. And I think that was really interesting to me. And I think that's kind of guided my sort of hands-on, do-it-yourself philosophy about problem solving, which I feel like I carry today and is an important part of my personality, being hands-on and understanding
mhm.
problems and using that to guide, precision and accuracy in what we do in decision making.
So you have transitioned from product marketing to leadership roles in power business. So
Mhm.
what key lessons
Mhm.
you learned during this path?
Mhm. Yeah, I think product marketing in at least in our industry in semiconductors is really a great place to learn about leadership and start practicing
Hmm.
leadership. And it's because you get involved in so many teams doing sort of a variety of things. And in most cases, you're involved in a lot of cross-functional teams. And of course, you're going to have some opportunity to lead those teams. So this could be, teams working on things like product definition or organizing training events or other types of promotional events, or the teams that are working on launching products. These are all things that product marketing is part of. And so, again, I think it's just a great pathway into leadership and moving into another role, like a director role or even my GM role now.
Hmm.
It feels just like an extension, like a very very sort of normal transition from product marketing to where your customer base is just expanded to be more of the team that you're working with, the team that is part of the business unit. And I think in the same way that like product marketing is all about, clearing obstacles and trying to get the best product out and market and be successful. Another a leadership role like I have today is very much about clearing obstacles and making things easy for people to, have their own highest level of success. And that's what I brought forward in that transition, and that's the way that I try to lead and be successful in my role is about setting up an environment where everybody else can be as successful as they can be.
Great. So, talking about the power industry, we know the power industry is going into different transformations, major transformations with electrification, also energy efficiency demands. So the power electronics is one of the main topic, I guess, with
Mhm.
power semiconductor, GaN, silicon carbide, and so on. So what's one breakthrough or trend in power management that you think is not getting enough attention?
Mhm. Um, I would say one thing that I would bring up that I don't think gets a lot of public attention is really the work behind the scenes that's going into server power improvement, especially as it relates to like AI models.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of discussion that happens about the amount of energy that goes into things like LLMs. Think your Chat GPT and other products like that, other tools like that. But I think what's missing from that discussion is just the engineering that's happening that people aren't so aware of
Mm.
to address those issues,
Mm.
to bring a higher level of efficiency to server power in general, and then specifically to be able to distribute the power loads that are necessary for these kind of like AI models that many of us are becoming somewhat dependent on in our daily lives. And so so I don't think that there's too much discussion about that. I think it's a
Mhm.
really interesting topic because it also sort of informs some other things that are happening in the world. So, server power and then the changes that are making into the paradigm of how power is distributed across servers is really about like uh, bringing higher voltage distribution centers more closely to where power is being utilized. And you see that same thing kind of happening in other places too that also need higher power and power distributed at a more efficient level. So another example would be like the movement from 400 volts to 800 volts in EV systems. And you see that even with things like power tools, which might have been 12 volts before, and now they're 48 volts, and some of them are 80 volts in their battery distribution systems. So there's a lot of work that's happening there behind the scenes. I think it's going to be a complete shift, especially in that server power space. But I think it has sort of bleed over into a shift in how power is distributed at higher voltages, kind of across the board. These systems that have traditionally been like directly connected to line voltages and then brought down from that are going up, and then high voltages taken more closely to where power is being utilized to increase efficiency.
So outside of semiconductors, so I know you are involved with Caritas of Austin. So can you
Okay.
can you share can you share what inspired you to work with this organization? Tell us more about this. Is great.
Yeah, I enjoy talking about Caritas. I think that they're doing great work. So Caritas of Austin is involved in the homelessness issue with Austin. And what's really nice about Caritas is that they have a very sort of holistic approach. They are what's called housing forward. So their main goal is to take people that are experiencing homeless and get them into stable housing so that they can improve the other aspects of their life that maybe they need help with. And in being involved in the organization, I've really come to understand like how important housing is for really like every aspect of a person's life and health, and and how they interact with society, and just really every aspect of wellness that's involved with a person starts from a stable housing position.
Oh,
And they just it comes from even being able to feed yourself well, to being secure day to day, to being able to take care of your health needs. I mean, all of that is easier when you're in stable housing. So I believe that Caritas has a pretty pragmatic approach. They interface with people experiencing homelessness, and then work with them on this stable housing foundation that they can then build from with other charities and other systems that are available to them. And so I think they're doing a great job, and I enjoy being a part of that with them, and
good.
helping them out. Incidentally, there's another charity that I am involved with, and it's called Give Directly,
Hmm.
which is also very pragmatic in that what they do is they give cash transfers directly to people in need. And it's another place where I think it's directing an issue at the source to make a difference, and I think it's worthwhile.
Good. Thank you, Rudy, for sharing this experience. So let's back in terms of technology. So technology, we mentioned different topics. Is for sure it is evolving rapidly, and Skyworks is playing a role in terms of power solution. So the question is, what excites you the most about where the industry is going, is heading in the next 5, 10 years?
Hmm. I think the most exciting thing to me all centers around like the automotive electrification that's
Okay.
ongoing right now. And, from my position, it's hard not to be excited about it because it feels like there's so much opportunity there for a company like Skyworks, and especially the business that we do. Um, you know, a big part of our product line is isolation technology and gate driver technology. And we've been involved in EVs really close to the beginning of the current trend that's driving EV uptake. So there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of opportunity, and it's hard not to be excited about it, just from a business point of view. Now, in a broader sense, though, I also think that it's really interesting how it's sort of causing a shift in a way with how we utilize energy, how we think about energy as consumers. And of course, like the personal transportation, the personal auto is has long been like the least efficient way that we can utilize energy, as a society. And so I think that the shift that we're seeing where automotive and EV can become a lot more efficiency, and we're concerned a lot more efficient, and we're concerned about efficiency is interesting in itself. I again think that the technologies that are involved there tend to bleed over into other interesting areas. And so one thing I think of with automotive electrification is just how it changes our overall electric grid and grid utilization. Because now you have ideas about like when you charge your car and when you gain that energy that you're going to need on your commute, that can be like off hours when the grid isn't being utilized that much. And maybe you need to have some drain on the grid just to keep everything healthy and stable. And I think it's interesting, like automotive electrification bleeds over into these like home battery packs, and even like grid scale battery packs, and how they're being utilized and how they affect overall grid health and grid utilization. So it's really, I mean, it's a really like a, shift in thinking about how we utilize energy. And I think for the average person, the consumer, like it all starts at the automotive electrification
Mhm.
portion. And so to me, that's really interesting and exciting to follow and see that happening while I'm involved in the industry the way that I am.
Yeah. So, Rudy, we are in conclusion. My last one, a key message takeaway. So, what's one key insights or piece of wisdom you would like to leave to our audience? So, talking about life, talking about business, leadership, or so life in general, work.
Mhm.
What's can be?
Um, Well, I would say the best advice that I can give, both in business and in life, is to just approach everything with a desire to learn, and a sense of uh, well, the word escapes me, but it's a sense of wonder, and a sense that you don't know everything, and every interaction that you're coming into, every meeting you're having, every decision that you're making is really an opportunity to learn, and understanding is such an important part of decision making, like finding out what's going on, learning, how things have come about to where they are today, and then making decisions from that about how you're going to go forward. It all stems from that first point, the point of understanding and being open to learning. So
Great.
that's the advice that I can give.
Great. Thank you, Rudy. It has been a great conversation. So I wish you a great weekend. Stay in touch. See you in the next Power Electronics conference,
Yeah,
Europe
I
or
hope to see you
United
soon.
States.
Where is you?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.